Okay, this is part 2 of my AWS follow along RDS video. So if you completed the previous video and you waited about 10 minutes, you should see your identifier that you used for your database there, along with a status of available. All right, for right now, to prove to me that you did this assignment, this would be a good time to click on this link, and on this page, scroll up a little bit and take a screenshot of this and throw it into a Word document. Okay, I'm going to come back to this in just a minute, but one thing I want to do before I do anything with this information is make sure I've captured my view credential details. So I did that before. I want to make sure I have that master password. And actually, I also need this thing called the endpoint. So I'm going to need those two pieces of information. Technically, the master password is going to go away. The endpoint is always available right here whenever we click on the database. The endpoint is the publicly available, in this case, the publicly available web address that we can use to visit our database at. So I'm going to open up an additional document that I have on another screen and save my endpoint along with my password. And now I don't need that anymore, so I'm going to close that and I'll never be able to see it again. Okay, so something I wanted to see though before I go any farther with this is I want to see about that security group or that firewall rule that was created. So I'm going to go type in VPC under services. And I have VPCs are the same. It's not going to be in subnets, but if I scroll down, I see under security, I see security groups. And let's open this up a little bit. So I just created one called Donut 1. And let's go ahead and select that. And let's see what its rules are. Inbound rules allows 3306 from this range, which happens to be my IP address for my Google Fiber account currently. So this security group is going to be attached to the instance. We're good to go. Let's go back to RDS. So type in RDS. So this means I should be able to connect to it. All right, so I'm going to click on this again. Okay, so I guess I could have just as well clicked on this security group link right there, and that would have shown me the same thing. So here it is. There's its endpoint. There's its port. There is something else that's worth noting, and I wanted to note which region it is in, and it physically put my instance among the three options in the US East 2C. So I thought it might go with A. Did the last time I made this video, and this time it selected 2C. So it's physically sitting in one of the three data center areas that they have. And that's pretty much all I need at this point. So if you do not have like a MySQL database tool available, you won't be able to do the next step. So for my classes, a screenshot of this, as I said before, is sufficient for this part of the assignment. But just to verify that this does work, I'm going to go on to the next step. So I have a Windows VM running on my machine, and on there I have MySQL Workbench. So let's go ahead and see if I can connect to this database that I just created. So first off, I will call this Donut Diggin to name my connection. And for the host name, I'm going to replace this with the endpoint that I had before. So that's this address right there. And the username is going to be admin. And the default, well, okay, I don't need to change anything else. I'm going to click test connection. And it's asking me for a password. So I am going to paste in the password that I had before, and it says successfully made the connection. So this is good. I'm from home and I went through their firewall and I've successfully connected. So let's just verify that I could use this. Okay, so it sees two of the default databases that are already in there. Let's go ahead and add another. I'll call this DonutDB, and I will say apply. All right, yep, go ahead and do that. All right, I have just finished creating my database, so now let me go ahead and create a table. So I'm going to click on Tables, and right-click, Create Table. I'm going to create a table called Donut, so I want to have a list of donut names in there, like apple fritter and stuff like that. So I'm going to have a column ID, have it be the primary key, auto increment, another column called name, and we'll just accept the defaults there, and I will say apply. And I now have a table that has been created. And one of the easier way for me to make changes to this is if I just do select rows, and at the bottom it gives me a little place where I can add new donuts. So let me click this little button right here with the green plus, and I'll say apple fritter, and another one I will call old-fashioned, and then if I click apply, there are now some records in my database. So if I were running with an application, then I could use the username and the password that I just used to get into my database across the internet using the endpoint, and I could do all of the traditional database operations on this AWS database that's in the cloud. Okay, that being said, let us now go ahead and destroy our database. So first off, I'm going to go into, see if I can remember how to go to the home screen here, and I'm going to, oops, wanted to just delete it there. Stop. Okay. Get rid of my connection. This isn't the important part, but that should be, so it's all gone there. But here's the more important part. Okay, and this is a little bit tricky potentially. I go back here to databases and I click on this and I say actions, delete. Now notice right here it says create a final snapshot. So once I do this, it's going to create a snapshot of the database that I could use to recover from if I wanted to create a new database, or in essence it's a backup, but it's always checked by default, and you don't want that, especially if you're just trying to throw this away, because otherwise you're going to start getting billed for storage. So I have to click this box and then delete me, and then click delete, and now it should start going through the delete process. So it's in the process of deleting. That'll take a little while. Let me go over here to snapshots, and so I believe that this was one from yesterday, since today is now Thursday. For me, this was Wednesday. I didn't uncheck that box, and so I got that thing there. So I am getting billed for this right now, and I don't want that. So if you make that same mistake, you can go over here and say delete it, and it'll start, it'll go through the process of deleting that. All right, so for your assignments today, I want you to turn in a screenshot of the database that is being displayed right here. It's being deleted right now, but I want you to take a screenshot of this and turn it in, and then we'll have another hands-on activity.